Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to today's event. I'm Jason Gumpert from msdynamicsworld.com. Thanks for joining us for today's session all about the e-commerce trends that Dynamics 365 ERP customers can take advantage of. And our presenter for today is Giuseppe Ianni. He is on the line here and we'll begin in just a moment. A couple of housekeeping notes. One, we do welcome your questions today. Look for the Q&A block either on the right side of the presentation window or for the question mark in the upper right, which you could hit to open up the Q&A block. Using that will allow us to take your questions, which Giuseppe will be saving for the end. There will also be some poll questions, so be on the lookout for those as we get rolling today. So without any further delay, I'm going to hand things off to Giuseppe to get us started.
Thanks, Jason, and thanks everybody who's attending the call or listening to this call today. As Jason mentioned, we're going to be walking through some different technology trends today, focusing on technology really as a whole and how it's a catalyst for the ever-growing customer expectations that I think we all are either living and breathing and working with, that are spilling over into the wholesale distribution B2B type world. Today's B2B clients of the world expect retail type customer treatment, right? A lot of these guys at home in their personal life are being treated one way as they come to buy from their consumer facing websites. They then get into the business world and are looking for a more personalized type approach as they get service from you as an organization. And organizations today in the B2B space are feeling the impact of this trend, and they're understanding that meeting customer needs is more critical now than ever. And no matter how demanding the customers might be, it's instrumental to find a way to outshine your competitors with this transformation that's currently occurring in the marketplace. So today we're going to focus on some of those trends, and we'll talk a little bit more about how B2B companies today are seeing these challenges, not as real a negative thing, but more of an opportunity for their business to transform to become more innovative, become more customer-centric organizations that offer value across all touch points of their organizations. So to start, again, as Jason mentioned, my name is Giuseppe Ianni. I'm the VP of Sales here at Sana Commerce. And just some housekeeping, in the next hour I'll be highlighting some of the most important trends for you to take into account when positioning your business to compete in the market today and preparing for the successful future to come, right? And with that, again, talking about ways to leverage your investment in Microsoft Dynamics that will allow us to turn some of those obstacles into really more opportunities. And then last but not least, talking about single stack e-commerce and that approach and how it really empowers us as an organization to grow and utilize the investment we've made moving forward and really have it work for us. And as we start, I wanted to kind of open this up again to start the meeting today, just to get a feeling for those in the room and how successful your current e-commerce strategy has been, right? What is it doing for you guys? So you guys take a look at the poll questions that are up. You know, are you guys happy with how things are going when it comes to e-commerce? Are you guys looking to platform over the next 6 months or so? Any challenges, but no plans to really improve your strategy, or are you looking, not looking even to currently sell online? And this is interesting because I think as we talk to more and more people, most people that we see in the marketplace and speak with are more second generation e-commerce guys. Most people have taken an approach to actually come out here and deploy a website, whether or not it was an enterprise website or just kind of their dip in the pool. Yeah, so just trying to get some feedback from you guys, and it always helps us kind of tailor our information that we're sharing with clients.
All right, now I'm going to close out this poll. It will be a little delayed to show the results, but I can, I think I can show them now. But I can tell you that looking to replatform and experiencing challenges are the two, but no plans to improve strategy are the two most popular results right now, followed by not having plans to sell online.
Okay. Well, that's interesting feedback. Yeah, obviously to hear, and I think that's always kind of group dependent, right, on what we hear. But I think as we look at some of the answers you guys have provided, I think one of the things to consider is that technology is rapidly evolving. And funny enough, I'm on the phone a lot with people, even to this day, that talk about the fact that, you know what, we don't need a website, we don't need commerce. Yet, if you look at the statistics and you look at where business is going with technology evolving, more and more people are implementing commerce platforms. Whether or not that's your business, it very well probably is one of your competitors. And I think as people look to implement new technology like this, it helps you increase your market competitiveness. And as we look to how affordable or how quickly you can deploy new applications, ERPs even for that matter, you see why more competitors pop up in the marketplace, new products are coming to market because it's more easy than ever to get these type of applications put in place. So what I want to kind of highlight next, as last year we went to work with an organization called Sapio Research. They went out and surveyed hundreds of companies around the world about their digital transformation, their strategy. How far along were we with a strategy? What were the challenges they faced in this change? And what did success look like for the organization? So I wanted to kind of highlight that to you guys as we look at challenges that you might have today that you don't feel left out. This is other challenges people might be seeing, or reasons to really move, right? If we're sitting in more stagnant on what we're seeing today done in our business, day-to-day business. So as we start, obviously there's a massive change in the adoption of digital channels across the industry. People are seeing web stores being put in place, more distribution type websites being put in place, more people working with the marketplaces in particular. And as we look at all this, 46% of the respondents noted that they currently sell products online via their own web store, and that was a jump from 29% who were doing it a mere 2 years ago. So we went from 30% of organizations 2 years ago selling to now almost 50% selling in a matter of 2 years. What does that mean for your company? What does that mean for where your competitors are? Are they the ones investing, or are you the ones investing, taking a step up ahead? The other step that I noted here that was also quite significant was mobile sales growing significantly, with a 5% increase in businesses with mobile apps in the last 2 years, and is projected to increase another almost 10% in the next 2 years. While own web stores are growing rapidly, followed by social, most B2B companies today are using a combination of different channels to sell products, right? So it's not just picking one way to do business. It's finding multiple ways to do business. And I think for an organization, that's where we tend to run into challenges, is how we align all those channels and how we have them communicating to make sure our customer experience is optimal. And that's where I think as these channels continue to grow and more open up, you guys evaluate more and more of those sales channels. We take a look at, the traditional in-store. We now move to online. And again, what most of us are probably dealing with today, phone, fax, and email. Businesses obviously have their work cut out for them as we look at trying to get all these sales channels to align. How do we put in an application in place that focuses on that customer experience, your brand, and brings in consistency across that messaging across all these channels? And really the answer behind that is that Omnichannel Strategy. And I know this has been a buzzword for years out there, but businesses are really still struggling to get here. But the ones that have done it right, it's working, right? 64% have noticed an increase in sales, and 26% say that it's increased customer retention. So two really great stats here, as well as the improved customer experience, that I think are critical messages to note as we look at what we're doing today, how we can improve, and how we look to the future of our business and how that might set us apart. And kind of concluding here with respondents noting that their own web store was the most critical part of that strategy. I know a lot of people that I talk with are more content with just going out and selling via Amazon or eBay or some of the marketplaces and their own internal, whereas putting their own website as a prioritize, maybe taking a back seat in certain industries. It's something that I think we really need to look at deeper to see how is that impacting our future and what does that mean to our customers. One of the other ones that I know came out, which is again a little bit more looking into the future, is both mobile, machine-to-machine, and the Internet of Things. How those trends are also playing a key role in our day-to-day. And as we take a look at some of the stats here, almost 70% of the respondents indicated that they believe that new and developing technologies such as mobile commerce, will continue to play a critical role in their growth and success. You get more data now from customers than you ever could via mobile in particular, right? More product information is accessible to them. You can make your selling process more complex there, and you're able to share more data. So I think it's inevitable that more customers will continue to deliver smartphone apps and information out to their customer through these apps. But we also take a look at the machine-to-machine learning aspect of it, and as people are trying to bring that into their organizations, or we just look at other organizations that might be using machine learning or the Internet of Things, and how that trickles down to our business. So as we take a look at dynamic pricing, if we look at what the airlines were some of the first companies in the really the marketplace to embrace the concept of automatically updating prices, right? So on a basic level, this can simply mean lead to an increase in price when the demand is high and a decrease when demand is low. But as we look at, there's plenty of other variables that also play a part of that, whether it's gas, competitors, the time of day. Your organization can then look at, again, weather patterns, stock availability, seasonal spikes in traffic. Those are things that can trickle down from that machine learning on how we sell or how we treat our customers. Most people traditionally set up price lists that run over a period of time. Well, here we can now get more specific to have that price list triggered by maybe a natural disaster, right, for certain organizations. A price list triggered by that seasonality that needs to kick in for a period of 3 or 6 months. Why we know that's our down season, we try to get more aggressive with those algorithms and pricing and bring those into play to stay more competitive and boost sales. And with the Internet of Things, we talk about inventory management, right? It's become now easier to keep track of our inventory, especially with more enhanced technology coming inside of our ERP. Sensors, RFIDs in particular, make inventory management in real time more possible to your organization as we track those products coming in or going out. And improving and monitoring the tracking of these items has now reduced the human entry aspect of it and has also streamlined the reordering process behind all that. So as we look at inventory management, then trickling down into warehouse, optimizing the inventory we keep on hand, reducing shortages, but also eliminating overstock of items in the warehouse. Some businesses are also bringing in temperature monitoring sensors that can check the optimal temperature for perishable products and goods and send alerts whenever needed to note this so we don't have the spoilage occurring. All just examples of ways that, again, the growth in technology is, again, trickling down to the way we do business, but also making our business potentially more efficient, more optimal in nature. But as we look at that, it's not just technology that is the real disruptor, and I love this quote here. It's about being customer focused, right? Keep in mind what the end goal is. And this was taken from a post here on LinkedIn that went viral. But what I also like to talk about here is, some real life examples, right? A lot of us probably on the phone today subscribe to Amazon Prime, right? But I look back at Amazon. I don't think Amazon has really crippled the retail industry, but what I think they did was obviously they found a way to work past the bad customer service and experience that people get from going into a lot of these retail stores and try to make it quick and easy online. No different than an organization like Netflix, who has now offered out more of a white glove type service where I don't have the hassle of going into a store, finding a video, picking out that video, driving it home, returning it a couple days from now. I have the flexibility of now getting what I want when I want from the comfort of my own home without having to worry about ridiculous late fees, or for those in the room that remember it, even rewinding a video and getting fined for it. It's just a more optimal experience, again, that organizations who are successful today are using to disrupt the channel. And again, being not customer-centric is the biggest threat, I think, to any business that we all need to keep top of mind. And that is because of the rising customer demand. And we take a look at technology playing a key role in this customer demand and what's going on here. So how will your business continue to not only meet your customers' demands, but raise the bar to create a more loyal customer base, right? That come back to you to buy, that pay a higher potential price point for your products, for your service, based on how you treat them. And as we look at that, The highest priority amongst organizations as we look at that digital priority list is creating an exceptional, highly relevant customer experience. So as those in the room that talked about looking to re-platform, experiencing some challenges but not changing, why are we not changing? Why are we not looking to get better? And this study here was taken from a Harvard Business Review poll, and again, it notes that a lot of the ways that we do business today will be completely obsolete by 2020 as we look at ever-changing models and digital strategies now that are evolving across the industry. And I think this is good news for consumers and businesses alike, as it foreshadows an era of customer-centric businesses. Whereas traditionally we might not have been as focused on our customers, more on our bottom line, and what might be happening back office. We now need to be focused on what our customers think of our organization and how it looks to them. And while e-commerce technologies have been around for quite some time, it's now more important than ever, I think, a critical part of our business strategy, which is why we kind of highlight some of the real leading indicators here to what's going on and how businesses are reshaping the way they function. Clients today, I think, who have web source in place traditionally have been handcuffed by large custom-built websites or synchronized interfaced applications for years that haven't allowed them to grow, scale, or even evolve. Right? You look at businesses and how long they've sat on an iteration of an ERP, what the cadence now for updates of ERP are. It's changing very quickly. People aren't on an ERP for 6 to 8 years anymore. One version, they're taking that version and moving every year or two, which as an organization will empower us to obviously become a more convenient to work with organization that optimizes that buying experience as we look at organization putting in place drones for delivery. A lot of organizations utilizing AI now. AI is natively or can be natively accessed through some of our ERPs that we've invested in, like Microsoft Dynamics, to ensure that people who buy have their behavior, location, demographic, and past purchase history all really drive that customer experience on the website. So we look at coupling that with both wholesale and B2B commerce, B2C commerce, and the changing buying models inside of that as more manufacturers now are now beginning to sell directly to consumers. So a lot of you on the call might be more traditional B2B wholesale distributors potentially. With that, we've seen a big uptick on those distributors who we might have partnered with years ago to deliver a wholesale portal are now coming back to us saying, you know what, we want to go to the general public. We want to have a catalog. We want to have the ability to start selling a subset of our products out to the general public because we know Amazon's already doing it, taking some of our market share. So opening up new models, again, as the market continues to change. And again, how technology plays a critical role in that. Having all this function off your centralized IT infrastructure. So one single source of truth, or as we look at e-commerce, a single stack e-commerce platform. Don't just bring in a shopping cart, but bring in a shopping cart that is really built to work with your ERP. So we streamline that rollout versus add additional overhead as we look to grow our e-commerce footprint or marketplace footprint. So I conclude that by just basically noting that you need more than just great products in place. You need to optimize that customer experience with the how they're treated, but also the marketing strategy and technology and resources you have back office to really tie it all together to make this nice and clean. And we do that obviously because, as we mentioned earlier, it's all about putting our customers first, right? The main goal of your organization should be to offer that best experience possible, which means offering them control in how they want to order, return products, pay invoices inside of a portal, give them the insight to their order history and products and prices as they see fit, right? Not just on a browser, not just on, a weekly email that's going out to them, but something more on demand, something more real time. And besides just the convenience, it also helps get more personal with the customer as we look at delivering them unique price levels, unique discounts, unique product catalogs, or other potential offers that you might want to open up to them to boost your overall experience and boost the sales coming behind the site itself, which is why we noted that as in surveys came back, 75% of wholesalers are demanding web stores. Why? Well, because the ease of online purchasing, right? The ability to not only enter that order but also get that order back faster from you, right? I know if I can get that order in on a website, you're going to be able to pick, pack, ship, and fulfill that much faster. To have the transparency of availability, right? There's nothing more challenging than ordering a product or a service and getting a call after the fact letting you know that that product is now out of stock versus when I went to place that order. So as we look at all of this and we start talking about this, I think I love this quote here from Satya noting that it's time to start thinking and operating like a digital company, right? It's not just about one path, getting a solution and deploying one solution. It's about pulling it all together. 20 years ago, it would take 20 years to be worth $1 billion. A few short years ago. Today, it takes just 2 for an organization to climb that quickly, to grow that successfully. So as Microsoft used this and it's trickling down to a lot of us noting engaging customers, empowering our employees, and optimizing our operations and transforming our products is how we're able to get there, right? Finding a sustainable digital business model takes far more than just having a website, right? Or having an ERP put in place. It involves pulling all this together, getting it to work seamlessly, which is a challenge, right? It's a big hurdle for us to obviously get over. Which is why more customers now are relying on those relationships with either your ERP partner or with a technology vendor like Sonic Commerce here, who has industry expertise, right? That's what we're looking for to help our business grow, to understand what those hurdles might be, how to get through those hurdles, and how to bring in the applications or how to make those applications seamlessly communicate. Sana's already taken an approach as an organization to really start focusing on the AI initiative, as Microsoft's also aligned themselves with that, working to develop new web technologies to provide a more optimal customers. So as we rethink our go-to-market, utilizing AI for upsell, cross-sell, or suggested product catalogs, those are little differences that we can offer out our clients by use of AI and what's going back office. As we look to utilize ERP as the backbone to our platform for all things commerce. So as I get into some of these trends and highlight some of the e-commerce trends that we've talked about thus far, I think a lot of that is known by organizations, but I think what I'd like to do now is break down why some of these organizations are still struggling to adapt to some of the changes that we know are out there, as we know that we're dealing with clients who are becoming more increasingly demanding, more increasingly picky. So one of the things that I wanted to open up to you guys again in another poll here is what challenges are you facing? And I'm going to highlight 4 of these ones in just a minute here. Or one of the reasons that we think we're struggling today is that we have organizational resistance to change. Our departments and organizations are too siloed. Some of the sales channels that we're working with are unable to connect and communicate, or we just have legacy technology in place that is slowing our progress. So if you guys can respond now, I'd love to see the feedback here and share it with the group just to see what's going on in your marketplace today. And I think what this helps obviously do is help everybody recognize that you're not alone, right? A lot of organizations are dealing with these real problems. But the good news as we walk through it here in just a couple seconds, there's ways to get out of this, right? There's ways to structure, to align, and I'm going to go through some tips and tricks to get through that. So in closing the call, pretty interesting here. Organizational resistance leading the way, sales channels not being in alignment, or just legacy technology. So appreciate the feedback, guys, and let's walk through a few of these, and we'll start by talking about organizational resistance, and you can see here as the polls come back, organizational resistance and legacy technology leading the way in terms of some of the biggest challenges. So those 2, obviously, you guys highlighted here, and departments being too siloed, again, kind of being the last one here. But these are the 4 most critical ones that we see as a recurring theme in the clients that we surveyed in that report that we went through with Sapio. But I think these are some deep-rooted organizational changes that need to be had by a lot of organizations as we look to this digital transformation that we started this conversation with, and you see even messaging coming down from Microsoft about. So as an organization, where do we get started? How do we get the right people? What will it take? So as we start, I think it's important to understand the resistance to change. That's always there. That's always something people deal with in an organization. Um, and I think where it starts is finding the right person in your organization to drive the change. And for many people, they say, well, do we even have that person? I think oftentimes they do. Oftentimes you're looking for an IT manager with the business prowess, or marketing or sales manager with an affinity for IT that understands that we have a challenge, and communicating that challenge up the boat to the stakeholders to overcome any internal resistance that might be there, but then coupling that with the technical knowledge to ensure that a new solution will be feasible with your current or future system you might be putting in place, and then offer an in-depth understanding of the sales and marketing channels that need to be put in place to ensure that the technology will integrate with these channels and can open up and expand our growth potential as an organization. I think having a dedicated product owner around this as we look to change, in this employee engagement is something that will empower change and will drive stakeholders to this change and make a move to grow, right, to change how the business is running, and to overcome that resistance that might currently be in place. The siloed data, the siloed systems, I think is another common goal as we note there. But I think what's important to start with is the setting of the goals, right? Understanding as an organization, what are the challenges that we have? What do we want to do to remove some of these silos? So oftentimes people put in place certain KPIs to determine what really needs to be done. Do we want to increase, online customer retention? Do we want to increase customer satisfaction, increase the order value? What are the most critical components to where we want to go, and how we get that data to optimize the experience, right? Which is what gets us to our next point of defining target market, target customer. Who do we really want to be selling to? Who is our ideal target audience? Because oftentimes it's too general. And going back to what I noted earlier, we want to really get to that personal level with our customers. And once we're there, we then want communication, right? Announcing discounts, offers, codes, offering out resources or additional content or information is critical in really that communication as we break down those sales channels. And we break down those sales channels, again, by building a roadmap. Are we looking at rolling out a site to all these sales channels? Are we looking at going one channel at a time? So again, that big bang approach or gradual introduction, and how we see that rolling out for our organization as we take on new channels, or we clean up some of our sales channels that aren't currently communicating with one another. And last but not least, analyzing the data, right? Gathering the information you already have about your order processes and your customers and your targets and your success rates, and evaluating them, on an ongoing basis. Finding the gaps and looking how your sales channels will help you fill those gaps, right? Maybe we're not doing enough of product line A. Maybe it's about bringing on a new product line to fill that gap and growth that we're looking to bring on there. And how do we bring on that new product with the tools that we have in place today? So I think one of the biggest advantages as we talk about that of launching a new web store is the in-depth customer data that it puts at your fingertips. Selling on Amazon, right, you only get X amount of data. You put your own site, you can see how people browse, you can see what they look at, you can see what they don't buy and what they remove from their shopping cart at a later date. So it really helps you be more empowered when it comes to the decision-making behind all of this. And last, in the next year, we talk about the disconnected sales channels, right? As I talked about Omnichannel earlier, right? 52% of people noted that their own web store was the most critical component of their strategy. That quote was on the screen, and I think really critical. But I think why it works, and what's important to understand, is that buyers connect with the brand that they trust, right? Buying a product out from a marketplace isn't the same as buying directly from you, right? They buy it from you, they trust you, they understand, what type of service and what type of product you're gonna bring back to them, which is how you build a more loyal customer base. But also controlling the buyer's journey, right? It's no longer a straight line from point A to point B. Your customer can hang around, call in to a call center, touch base on your website, check from a mobile phone, and making sure that experience is seamless as your client continues to move around and connect or interact with your organization. Potentially even a sales rep. And how all that, again, ties together to really optimize that approach as we go to market. And last, focusing on the buyer's demands. and personalizing those demands. Brands need to be savvy enough in using customer data and engagement systems to address the preferences which build trust, right? Which help those clients engage more with us and deeper with us, even if it is connecting with the sales rep and having that rep touching base with the website as well, ensuring that all these guys are working together and communicating and delivering out, again, a richer experience than they might be seeing from any of your competitors. So to conclude here, we talk about the legacy technology. I know, again, we had a few respondents note back on that one as well here. Once it's all in place, I think it's important to have a plan, but also get to work, right? We start by talking to somebody like our ERP partner to understand where our gaps are in the system right now, where we want to be going, and then making it more streamlined, right? The technology we have in place today, it could be very labor intensive to start selling online for those who noted that, right? Because we don't want to manage another database, another silo, set up prices in another database, manage discounts or customers or products in another database. So it's important to understand that we get that data aligned, structured properly inside of our ERP, with an ERP that can support the pricing flexibility, the variance flexibility that we have as an organization, and then bring in place a system or a content management system, something like Sana, that can also allow us to manage robust product images or extended descriptions or banners or background images to optimize that customer experience and treat them differently as they come to not only look at core ERP data like price and availability, but additional fluffy type content that helps that customer make the educated buying decision on a website. So with that, what I always like to hear, or at least gain insight to, is our next poll question here, is how many hours have you invested in getting all your data into your ERP? I know some clients that we see, have spent an extensive amount of time, others not so much, right? A lot of times it's out of date, and we don't put as much time as we should in it. So yeah, if you guys don't mind noting that. So as we look at this, I think what's important to understand is you spend a lot of time and energy and money, putting in an ERP, right, and having all the right data in there. So why duplicate this work as we look to go online? I think the goal here is take a look at the amount of time you've spent and say, do I want to spend that amount of time again to implement a website? And I think most people are going to say no.
All right, so it'll be a few more seconds before the results come up, but I can tell you that 80% of responses were for 200 plus hours, and then another 20% were for that 50 to 100 range.
Gotcha. And I think that's pretty straightforward, right? A lot of people have high SKU databases, have multiple brands, especially when you make an investment in something like Microsoft Dynamics. So again, that's why I oftentimes say is, do you really want to manage all that data again? And to be fair, I mean, that's what a lot of people do when they go down the e-commerce realm, right? They say, you know what, I know the data's there, but, I figure if I go and want to start selling online, I have to manage it again. And that's really where the Sana value proposition comes in. The goal behind what we do is we try to optimize or maximize your investment in the ERP by delivering an e-commerce platform built on the ERP that you're running. So you become more efficient as an organization, but more importantly, you get accurate real-time data out to your customers, and data that, again, you've already set up and you're already managing inside of your ERP. So I break that down visually here as I show you guys this. On the right-hand side showing what Sana's done today, how we look to clean that up. So you look at the business logic and data below, the 200 plus hours of time that you guys have spent configuring units of measure, bill of material, pricing, availability, taking all that logic through a web service call available from Microsoft and pulling it out to a web store. So your customers can see that information real time. Coupling a content management system to bring in some of the fluffy website content, videos, multiple images, stuff that you aren't potentially setting up already in your ERP, and pulling that together in a unified package that, obviously, as we look at the graphic, is agile enough to upgrade very quickly, regardless of what you're doing with an ERP standpoint, but also very quickly evolve as you might be upgrading your ERP as well. But again, driving off one centralized source for real-time data and not requiring any additional IT staff in order to take this product to market. which is very different from the other options here, which a lot of you are probably inside of today, which is a scenario where we've implemented the ERP, then went out and spent a lot of additional time and money rebuilding that business logic and data inside of a shopping cart, and then having hooks or connectors put in place to synchronize that data back and forth. And whether or not certain pieces of data are going back and forth or more data is going back and forth is probably where you see the wide range and cost of what you might have spent to implement a system like that. And obviously, as you look at this, what happens when I upgrade my ERP? What happens when I want to upgrade my web store? What implications does that then bring back to our organization and what that means to our day-to-day? And that's where we see the difference in that single stack e-commerce approach that I mentioned earlier on in the presentation, and how it allows us to really grow and optimize that customer experience, because as a business, we now focus our time not on the integration, but on how we treat our customers. And that's obviously why, as we look at the high-level architecture of the Sana platform here, you know, whether we deploy out of one web store, multiple web stores, we sell both retail, wholesale, we have multiple brands, we roll a web store presence out, we have an offline type app that allows for order entry purposes, and we also have a web-based admin panel to allow you to tweak the customer experience, to segment the customers, and to really personalize the overall web experience, all tying in with natively to the entire Microsoft Dynamics stack with certified products, and obviously ongoing updates that are delivered quarterly to all of our customers who run our integration to Microsoft Dynamics. And as we look at that, feedback from our customers over the past 10 plus years has been that, you know what, we're looking for the ability to also customize, right? That's one of the things that we hear from a lot of people. Yeah, we want something that quickly deploys, rich out of the box, but guess what? We got functionality X and Y we want to add to the website, which is where we see the structure, the extension framework that's put in place to really build a best-in-breed application that, while natively integrates to Dynamics out of the box, can quickly call your payment gateway of choice, a PIM of choice, an email marketing application of choice, touch base with any of the marketplaces that you might want to call, as well as allow us to open up the SDK or a REST API to build out your own functionality as you see fit inside of the native applications. And we've done this across a wide variety of industries. I think e-commerce being a more horizontal type application traditionally, because again, we touch customers pretty much buying and selling any type of product or service you could think of, whereas we more traditionally will focus on wholesale distributors, manufacturers, and some of the ones on the screen above are where we see ourselves playing very often. And we've done it across the globe as an organization for small brands as well as very large brands. So hitting all ends of the map here as an organization. And we have focused on, as we look at our commitment to a channel and our customers and our partners, on continuing to get our products certified and tested by Microsoft directly, and also being recognized by Microsoft directly as we look at our certifications, hitting the inner circle as well as ISV of the year, noting our commitment to the channel and our success in the channel with people constantly to help them with their e-commerce strategy moving forward. And we've received recognition not only from Microsoft directly, but also other industry leaders like Forrester. We were put into the Forrester Wave at the end of Q3 of last year. And as Sana's looked to not only develop our e-commerce platform and technology, we've also committed to the AI initiative, as I mentioned earlier, with Microsoft, which is how we continue to put ourselves at the forefront of developing the best-in-breed e-commerce application that we can as we look at our go-to-market. But as I say that, I know that it's not just about the technology that we deliver that I think has made Sana successful and get cited in things like Forrester or get recognition for Microsoft. It is about the vision, the team, and the commitment we have to e-commerce that has really set us apart from other vendors. A lot of people will deliver a great shopping cart. That shopping cart you then buy, you try to deploy. Again, going back to what I mentioned earlier, finding a solution is great, but having people who know what's going on in the industry and who know how the solution can function with your ERP is where we then start to see all the pieces start to come together, and we start to run more efficiently as an organization, and we see that optimal experience of our customers start to become a reality. So with that, what I was hoping to do today for everybody is also take a look at the application. Again, if you guys have additional questions, we're always happy to follow up and talk more about the application. But really quickly, what I like to show people is give them a flavor for what Sana looks like out of the box, what we could be doing for our customers out of the box day one. And as we look at that, I have a few different templates here. Sana has multiple templates that deploy out of the box to offer our customers flexibility in design. From there, you can obviously personalize the design of the website at will. You can also come in and apply your own logic or scripts to then enhance the overall website. Some of our sites are more retail in nature. Some of our websites are more wholesale in nature. All the websites, though, are what I would consider B2X environments. Here I'm actually selling to a retail customer, though very quickly if I wanted to, I could come in through the same domain URL and log in as a wholesale customer, in which case my marketing material, my branding, my catalog, my price is all very specific. My payment terms, my sales tax, my freight, all personalized back to the user level, even how products are displayed. All native in the application to Sana, allowing us to not only see those products, see that information, but to build out that shopping cart experience, offering out a multitude of ways to build that shopping cart, whether it's from a traditional hierarchy, whether it's from an upload, whether it's placing an order, or just creating a quote and allowing a quote to be converted to an order at a later date and time, to really offer out as much flexibility as possible in that buying process as possible to our customers. But again, driving data from the ERP, so bill to ship to addresses coming out of our ERP, sales tax schedules coming from the ERP, freight being calculated by looking at the weight or dimensional weight of an item back in the ERP, all the way through to the payment options that are shown out to the customer, which again can be noted on the customer card back inside of the ERP as well. In this case, this client set up on net terms, going to be allowed to check out on terms, entering in relevant delivery dates, relevant delivery information, and potentially a PO number. So at which point in time we're then able to capture a sales order, write that sales order back to the ERP right now. So back office, as you look at many of our client websites, they can guarantee all orders placed before 3 o'clock will be shipped same day, because right now there was no, hey, wait, lag, sit in the shopping cart database. We immediately wrote back to your ERP. So you're able to fulfill that much faster, which we can see here. All the relevant information, not only that the ERP needs, but that your customer needs sitting out here on the website, allowing them to come back at any point in time to dig into that rich document history online as well. So not only can they place orders via your portal, but they're also able to self-serve. And as I mentioned earlier, initiating returns, paying invoices, getting other documents that we might need access to. This is a full view of that historical ERP data that we expose out inside of the website. Most people, as they look at what they've done to date, they show you shopping cart transactions. But now opening up access to any historical information that your ERP might have allows us more flexibility, gives your customer better insight into their account and what might be going on with their account and the status of it currently. So we couple out those two experiences, but we also roll in an experience for salespeople and customer service, allowing all people that we might want to be working with in or outside of our organization to work through this browser-based application. So here again, maybe I'm in a call center, maybe I'm back office in customer service, or maybe I'm on the road as a sales rep. I can utilize a browser-optimized experience, even from my mobile phone, to quickly select a client I want to service and move through that buying experience of taking a look at the products and relevant information to build an order, or just check the status of an order for that client while I'm on the road. And when all is said and done, I can move through that buying process as a call center agent, customer service, or a sales rep in a very similar manner to what I just showed you out on both the retail site or the wholesale site. Now, all of these are natively delivered to our customers in the native rollout of the Sana Commerce application. And again, what's great about this is you look at your day-to-day maintenance, and once you've set up one environment, you can now open it up to all three. So your maintenance, again, to do this from a shopping cart standpoint is very streamlined because the driving information coming from the ERP and the overall experience coming from the application as well. So just a few critical components I love to show about the Sana application to people, just to give them an understanding of what can be accomplished very quickly. And again, what I'm showing you here, a native rollout of the Sana application. traditionally rolled out in a matter of a week, connected back to your ERP. From there, obviously, some additional setup config going down the road to inevitably a go live and launch once it's been fully tested. So in summary, as we talk and communicate today, I like to at least come back to the fact that micro revolutions in the technology space take place typically every 12 to 18 months. And this leads to aging systems, sales channels that aren't in sync, or a lot of resistance to change in organizations. The silos, the business processes that are difficult to change. But the pace of change can, while maybe sometimes seem very daunting, Microsoft has given Dynamics 365 customers and other Dynamics 365 users an engine that can power all business operations, from back office to sales. And Sana has built the technology to make e-commerce a strategic and integrated component for all of our clients' online operations. So I'd like to at least conclude with that and let you know that there are options, there are systems out there that will allow us to grow and scale, and that we're not alone, right? So I always encourage people, if we haven't gotten the information we want today, please feel free to follow up with us to learn more. Download this benefits of integration document, which I think is also a great one to look at if we're struggling with certain areas, day-to-day maintenance, how this can help your organization run more streamlined, more efficient. Please feel free to reach out to myself, visit our website. We'd be happy to connect with you and talk more about the challenges you're currently having and how we can help. So thank you again. And I think at this point, Jason, I think we're opening up for any questions.
Yep, we will open up for questions now. A few have come in already, and if you have any others, feel free to enter them into that Q&A block that you see there. So let's go to the top of the queue. First question, does Sana work for both B2B and B2C?
Yeah, as I mentioned, Sana is both a B2B and B2C application. It's up to our clients if they want to utilize both. Some will utilize one, some will utilize both. Some will have a dedicated retail-facing website, a B2C website. Some will have a separate domain and URL for their wholesale-facing website. Or some, as I mentioned, and I kind of walked through in my presentation, they have both B2B and B2C, and it's more a hybrid type B2X site where you're working off the same URL, but the experience is changing once I've logged in as a customer.
Okay. Someone would like to know which Dynamics products Sana integrates with. They're wondering about CRM and ERP.
Okay. Yeah, so Sana natively integrates with any of the ERPs. So from an approach standpoint, I can kind of add some insight to that. Both 365, Enterprise Business Edition, NAV, AX, or even GP. So really the whole dynamic stack from that standpoint. The only thing we haven't integrated directly to is CRM. CRM, from that standpoint, traditional on-prem CRM, we haven't done any work with as a company, though I know they've continued to evolve, CRM more into native ERP. So traditionally, again, we're pulling all of our native information, if you talk 365, from the finance tables and the product tables and pricing tables.
And will Sana continue to work if I update my ERP?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as long as it's on a supported version, as I mentioned earlier, Sana being part also of the TAP program with Microsoft, we get access to new code before anybody else does, before it's made accessible to the public. So, yeah, in particular cases like that, 2017, 2018, that were released or are being released, Sana's already had code and access to, and by contract with Microsoft, we launch out a release of Sana within 30 days of an update. Being readily available.
All right, let me make a final call for questions here. We have one more to go. So does Sana support quoting?
Sana also supports quoting, yes. So if we look at the native application, again, I can walk through scenarios here just to kind of add some insight. Natively inside of the website, customer could come to the website and create a quote. That quote would then be written back to the ERP. Once in the ERP, you could have somebody log into the ERP, modify the quote, convert it to an order. Inside of the ERP, you could also have somebody log into the browser, in this case the rep experience I showed you in the browser a few minutes ago, and they could look at that quote as well from the browser, and they could modify it and convert that to an order from the browser. Alternatively, you could have somebody inside of Native Dynamics create a quote. That quote then would show up inside of the browser for the customer. The customer could log in. He could view his quotes. He could then take that quote and with a simple click convert that quote to an order. So really there's a seamless communication, again, between Dynamics and Sana in that case, again, by looking at any document type, including quotes, but also allowing it to be converted to a sales order to clean up the communication between the customer or the rep or back office.
Okay,
Good
great.
question.
Well, that appears to be our final question, and thanks to everyone who asked, and we'll make sure that the Sana team also sees those and can follow up with further information if needed. At this point, I think we are going to wrap up. So Giuseppe, thank you so much for taking us through today's presentation. Much appreciated.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
And thanks to everyone in the audience for your questions, your feedback throughout the event today. We really appreciate that. There is a quick survey that'll pop up asking about your experience today. If you could take a few seconds to tell us any more, we'd definitely appreciate it. Our presenters do as well. With that, we are going to wrap up today's event. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.